go back to ALK. So ALK, so you've done this work. Now, what made you think there's a business here, and how did you get started?
Well, I mean, I think we sort of had to get started because while we did this thing in '75 for Congress, it could be considered as Princeton and nation service and research and so on, and certainly it, brand new ground, brand new approaches and so on, tools that we developed out of it. At some point, this became it became a proprietary thing that basically was then going to be involved in things like litigation and so on, and litigation support, and who's selling what, suing whom in some sense, or who rights of ownership and so on, whatever. Lawyers got involved in this whole process. And that's just not an appropriate place for the university to be. The university is an academic institution, scholarship, new things. This is not a real application, and application in a proprietary way. And so it really only could be done if it was done by a private entity. So said, well, what the hell, create a private entity to do it and keep that over here and let it do that. And every once in a while, go over there and stir the pot. And they sort of got to a point where, hey, don't come. We don't need the pot stirred anymore, type of thing, but whatever. And so my wife and I, really put it together, and she ended up running it and so on. And I pop in every once in a while and stir it. And they hated me. No, but that's, and I think the sort of, just to be perfectly frank, one of the things that we did with it, even though we had no capital resources, we did not accept outside capital resources. We never raised a penny, and did it all with internally generated funds. And the real reason for doing that, whether anybody wants to believe it or not, was to make sure that I could always have my priorities set with the university and not be over here with this private entity. And so, otherwise, if we're out there and have, investors and so on, and they tell me I have to be on a plane to who knows what, Beijing, I can't tell them to go fly a kite, right? Because I have to go teach a class. And so that was something that we set up from the very beginning. Set it up so that my wife had 60% ownership. I had 30% ownership, so she could do that. And I think for me, for us, and so on, it worked out really well. Could have we been bigger, done more on the private? Maybe.
Oh, and it got up to be a relatively large company. I mean, you had a couple hundred employees and so forth, right?
It was 200 people. It was 200 people. Yeah. We had offices in England and France and Taiwan, and thought about doing things in China, all that sort of thing. Yeah, no, we sold it in 2012, and it was acquired by Trimble Navigation, and I think Trimble's done very well with it. It's continued to prosper. I don't think they think they overpaid. I don't think they overpaid.
Well, the fact that it's still going 8 years later, I think, speaks testament.
Yeah, and all the people that were there that transferred with it. My son still is head of that division of ALK. They did change the name from ALK to MAPS, whatever, And to his credit.
So from a vision perspective, you kind of jumped in with one thought, with a certain thought in mind, I suppose, with this business as far as where it would go. But then over time, did that vision, change?
Yeah, because, well, of course, the vision originally was to provide, um, analytical, economic analysis services to the railroad industry, because we ended up knowing that very well and putting that together and putting together the various software. I mean, we developed the first automated locomotive management system that basically optimized the management of locomotives over the Burlington Northern Railroad and stuff like that. I mean, there were a lot of good analytical tools put together for the railroad industry as part of that. But we had coded up our own railway network. We had coded up our own interstate major road highway network. But then I discovered that, in fact, the Census Bureau was putting together a digital street network, be able to send out census takers called Tiger. And it must have been, I don't know, 1995 or so, whatever. They were preparing themselves for the 2020
2000
yeah. Census. And they had these Tiger files that basically were digital representations of streets. They're like, I don't know what, they're 500,000 miles of highways or important roads in the United States, or another, who knows what, 5 million miles of streets. Code them up by hand, whatever tools you use. I mean, that's a lot of labor. And then at the same time, so we said, oh my goodness, we might be able to put together a roadway network. And we actually put out a product at 1995, probably late 95, early 96, called door-to-door road trips, where you could actually, get a disk from us, put it on your laptop, and get a route from an address to an address in the United States, because we'd taken this public information Tiger network and cleaned it up so you could route across the United States, generate a route. Before that, what you have to do, you had to go to basically AAA and get a trip ticket, and they give you out a trip ticket. And I think somebody actually took a map, Rand McNally map, and actually drew on it by hand. So holy hell, we can computerize it, because we've been doing this. The key thing that we created in 1975 with respect to our analysis of the final system plan was a network computational approach, network analysis approach of generating routes on a digital map. And others had been doing it. We did that, and we made that efficient to do it basically in spades. Now, you needed the digital map representation to put in there to be able to do that, and they had to be of a certain quality, otherwise you get goofy routes. And that was sort of the kernel that we expanded on. And all of a sudden, not only could we generate, city to city, we had road trips city to city as a product that we sold in computer warehouse or whatever. And now we could do not city to city, which was like what AAA would do with triptychs, except do it by hand. We could do it by computer, and actually even did some things where people could actually log in and do it. This is 1990.
Wow.
5 or 6 or something like that, we're messing
That's
around
incredible.
with that. And then we could do a door to door. You could put an address. Holy hell, we put that out there. We thought we were just going to be so rich, So we put in, I think it must have been before Christmas, 1996 or something like that. Must have been then. We did a box in the whole business. I mean, we were almost like a company, did a box, road trips, door-to-door road trips. Great name, we thought, of course. He designed the box, put it out there with a CD and put it into to CompUSA, and we decided we're going to put it as an end cap. And we're going to have it, sell it out there. We're going to have, at $34.95 or something like that, and promote it and whatever. I mean, people complain about the 30% that a coder has to pay the App Store, okay, of the revenue they get from their apps. They should try before the App Store to try to put something in CompUSA. Okay, if we could have gotten 70% of the revenue that would have that something would generate, we would have gone, oh, we are going to be so rich. By the time you had to pay for the whatever it was, the little thing that went out on the Sunday newspaper in CompUSA, which was, I mean, thousands of dollars, whatever. I mean, and whatever didn't sell came back to you. I mean, you rent space there. They don't, and you pay so-and-so and so-and-so to get you in here, get you in there, get you before they do, give you, participate in CES at the whatever, so do. I mean, there's nothing left, okay? Not only is there nothing left, you're taking it out of your pocket. With this damn thing at $34.95, we thought, man, we are going to score at Christmas time. Microsoft came out with a competitor at $34.95. Of course, it wasn't as good as ours. With a $34.95 instant rebate. And we killed. True story. Everything came back. Here we are. We have 2 products with CompUSA. City-to-city road trips, door-to-door road trips. Microsoft has whole shelves. They couldn't compete with us just at the same price. They had to also throw in the $34.95 instant rebate. Completely crushed us. Okay.
Wow.
Talk about predatory pricing. Okay. All right. If I wanted to spend my life in a courtroom fighting Microsoft, I guess I would have done it. Didn't want to do that. Walked away.
Well, that's one of the
people
things
should be happy to have the App Store, do their marketing, do their distribution, do that, so they can just write the code, put it out there. Who knows if anybody's buying it, whatever, but and get 70% of what you put in. And I know apparently they've dropped down to 15%, but I mean, it sort of amazes me that folks complain about the fact that Apple keeps 30%. I mean, do you have any idea what it was like trying to get into CompUSA to sell a piece of software in 1995, 96?
And just that process must have been complicated as far as it's not just going to an online form and filling something out, right?
Oh, no, I mean, you have to have, there's a handler here and a handler there, and there's a group that knows how to be able to get and talk to the buyer at whatever, and boo, da, do, da, 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 the. I mean, of course not. And you have to be then approved. It's like, I guess, although I've never been part, it must be like, participating in the Miss America contest. You got to do whatever you have to, there's a enormous whatever, who knows what, yeah.